All right. We are on page Chof Aleph, 5 lines from the wide lines, from the bottom of the wide lines on the top section. The line begins with noflim noises. The word noflim, we discussed a little bit. Noflim means fall out. Fall out means just as when you throw the ball against the wall, this is ojection. The ball hits the wall and it reverberates. The throw itself, the initial throw, is very focused. Has a direct address, and it aims for a specific point. There is nothing inadvertent about that throw. Every bit of it, even the speed and all of it is entirely pre-calculated and is invested with the intent of the thrower. When it reverberates from the wall, it reverberates haphazardly. There is not the intent element there. It just comes back. This is like the aspect of noflim oisios. Oisios fall out from the reverberation is from the force of the throw. There is no other force. But here the force of the throw, the direction and the intended element is lost. What you have is the effect of the throw itself. And therefore it goes haphazardly in any direction. So in our moshel over here is noflim oisi, is that when there is a confrontation to the initial seichel, to the initial idea, the idea itself, as it flows, okay, I'd like you to understand, the idea itself as it flows from the initial, from the seichel, koyach hamaskil, from the chokhmah, from the nefesh, does not expect any obstruction. It's so clear, so obvious, it's so real. It's not prepared for war. Doesn't anticipate war. Therefore, it does not create a means of presentation of oisius. Here, you see it as clearly as I see it. But when there is a confrontation, then out of this clarity fall oisius. Oisius means minute containers that enable the seichel to be presented under an argumentative confrontational moment. But don't you see this? But don't you see this? This is the oisies that fall out of the oil. The oil initially does not anticipate it, doesn't prepare for it. And it's not based on this logic and on this structure.
Why the language of fall out? Why not? Oisies are presented. It now takes on that stance. What's this falling out element?
The falling out element is because it's unintended. It was not intended. It was not anticipated. It's not part of what was presented initially. I said, initially when it's being presented, it's the truth of the nefesh, and this nefesh is talking to the truth of your nefesh, and there are no challenges whatsoever.
So we're saying in the mashal that the oisios are a result of the rebound
Right,
on the wall.
right. Result of the challenge. That's why it's like the oisios fall out. They fall inadvertently almost, and because of the challenge. Okay, so this is the point that we are going to be discussing further. Can I cite noflim oisios? Shezehu ki inyan nefilas hahasoga. This is comparable. This is similar. Corresponds in our bigger mashal of the two scholars. Nefilas hahasoga, where the hasoga falls apart. When one scholar challenges the hasoga of the other scholar, initially when the first scholar presents this hasoga, he doesn't anticipate any challenges. He says it's obvious. When it's being challenged, so that simplicity, obvious element falls apart. Oh, it's no longer so obvious. I need to build it up. That's nefilas hasoga. And as a result of nefilas hasoga falls, but it doesn't fall apart. It falls onto a lower level. It falls onto a level where it begins to substantiate itself. This is called oisios. Present themselves. Initially, the hasoga is pure sense of reality, what's called chokhmah, or even higher than chokhmah. I see it. Don't you see it? Of course I see it. Like we said many times, sight does not come through substantiation. There's no substantiation process in sight. You see it because it's there. Period. You can see things that you cannot even make sense of. You don't understand, but you see it. And you accept it because I see it. And I don't need to understand it because I relate to the sight, to what I see directly. But then when there is a challenge, so then there is nefilas hasoga, it falls, that simplicity and that purity falls apart. And from that purity fall out oisios, which means fall out the structural elements that allow this hasoga to be presented in a structural manner. It's tantamount to you're explaining something and you speak the way it flows from your mind, and then somebody says, "But wait a second, how can you say that?" Oh, I see. I have to go back a bit. I have to step back, give you a little bit of an introduction what this is all based upon, and then there's a whole debate and whole challenge. You have to start building the basis and so forth. This is called the oisios that fall out from the hasoga. Because initially, in your mind, the hasoga does not come to you through oisios. You just see the reality of it.
This element of nefila, that they fall out, and there's this hap-hazard element. It seems when somebody takes a step back and then provides more introduction or more structure, then that's really the opposite of haphazard. That is kind of revealing something internal. It's a new presentation of what really is inside the direct view.
the oisius initially come haphazardly. For example, let's take our most mundane example. You conceptualize a table. Say, a table? What is the essence of a table? A board. And you say, I'm going to have a board that's going to stand in front of the people. So then comes a challenge, says, how is the board going to stand there? You're taken aback. Of course the board is going to, how is it going to stand there? Now you have to start building the thing, the standing of the board, and in a different, you projected the board standing. You didn't anticipate any difficulty with that thought. Now you have somebody who says, I don't understand how you're going to make it stand. I've never seen anything like this. So of course it stands. The answer is haphazard. Of course it stands. Okay, I'll tell you how it stands. Let me restructure in my mind how it could stand. Then you take this idea and you begin to structure it to make it possible to present it to your challenger. You never thought of legs. It stands. Well, here is how you make it stand. So initially, these oisius fall from the household, fall out, because this is not the basis upon which you presented in the beginning. When you thought of a table with a board, you thought of the board staying there, just staying there, because that's the main idea. The fact that underneath the board there are legs, that's totally inadvertent. But now I have to. This purity, this plain thought, is disrupted. I have to go back and the structure in my mind. Yeah, how is it possible to make it stand? So this is the oisius that fall out. Of whom where? This is important to understand. Where do we get the idea of putting legs to the table, to the board? I'm waiting for an answer.
Only in this world.
Where do we get this idea? We get the idea from the earth, from the ground. We get the idea. You probably understand what I'm hearing. You get the idea from the board standing. Inherent in that is the oisius that make it stand, but that's hidden in it. You perceive the board standing, not because you knew how it can be made stand. You knew the board has to stand. Period. This idea that the board has to stand, this is what creates the oisius that allowed to be made to stand.
So, on the one hand, it's circumstantial because it's only needed down here on Earth. On the other hand, it's inherent in the design. It's inherent in the original concept.
Okay, I'm not entirely happy with your understanding of this. It's not circumstantial. It is bringing the table element into this world.
So then why the happenstance? It's not circumstantial. What's this happenstance element?
The happenstance element is what are the means by which you make it stand. It has to stand. In this world, it has to stand. And it is possible to make it stand. I take it for granted that it made it stand. Why? Why do I take it for granted it made it stand? Follow this. Because I'm a human being, and a human being requires a table. Just a human being finds a home.
Okay,
it must be possible. Yes.
What?
It must be possible because
It must be possible. The world is made for this.
All right. So here, happenstance is more of a design element. I mean, it's much more intentional and than what we regularly think of as happenstance and where we started from.
The happenstance element is that you are focused not on how it's going to stand, but on the board itself standing. It all, you understand? Your initial message from the nefesh is there has to be a board standing. Contained in that initial message is that this board has to stand, like you said, in this world. Therefore, it provides for the means to draw from it how you're going to make it stand, or that you're going to make it stand. Just like an idea. You have an idea in your thought, even if it's already in your thought. But if you have to present it to him, you have to restructure it in an organized way that he should be presented, and he should know what you're talking about.
Okay, so there again, you have the organized presentation. This is not happenstance. We started out that reflective light is sort of all over the place, and we use this word happenstance, which also means kind of. And that's
all right. Good. Okay, let's focus in. What is the element of happenstance? I want to go to 770. Why do I want to go to? I want to be in 770. How do you get to 770 by going this way and that way? Ultimately, do I want to go there this way, or do I want to be in 770?
I want to be there.
Being that I'm going to go this way, this is happenstance from the perspective of where I want to be. Although it is drawn from that.
Like a means to an end. But it's part of the... Okay.
But it's part of the initial thought.
Okay.
Which means I thought of being in 770 while I'm Crown Street. So, and I'm thinking of that, and I'm thinking of that straight out. I'm going to be in 770. It's definitely possible. How? I don't know yet. I have to find what makes me think that it's possible.
So we're using haphazard here, or happenstance, in quite a specific way, meaning it's secondary, but it can go this way or
That's
that
right.
way.
This is called hasoga ketana.
Okay.
Yet it is a hasoga, part of the initial hasoga, but it is haphazard. It is not intended.
It's secondary.
It's not intended.
Okay.
Because if I give you directions to go 770, I can give you 17 different way directions. The main thing is that they all lead to the same goal.
Okay.
So the oisias are happenstance, although they are the means by which it's being presented and it's getting solidity. You say you can go from here to 770. I don't believe you. You know? Tell me how you're going to do it. So normally a guy, he trusts you that you can go. But if he doesn't trust you, then you have to argue your point, your case from A. Uncle, you have legs, right? The legs know how to walk, right? Walking means that you can move from one place to another. And if you use your legs and you do it this way, eventually I'll show you how to get it on the set. Or you pedal your bicycle. Okay, this is called Nephilas Aces. Okay, so let's continue inside. And this is the source. This is from this Nephilas Hasaga. This is from which the Kelim are created. Shezehu, which is Kmei Hasaga Haktano. This is comparable. This is corresponding to the hasoga haktana, the small hasoga, shenase alideh hanefilo mehasagos, that came about as a result of the falling off from his an initial hasoga. The initial hasoga, as we said, is literally a statement from the nefesh, from Chochmah. That's initial hasoga. That's initial reality. This is hasoga ktana. This is what substantiates it and defends its possibility from an onslaught. And that's hasoga ktana. And these oisi is called noflim because I don't know from which direction you're going to attack me. How you gonna go something? Go down Kranz. Wait, Kranz is going to lead you to Flatbush Avenue. I don't know which way where your skepticism comes from. If I tell you go what is it called? North, it says, oh, that leads to Atlantic Avenue. This hasoga ktana is not be'erech, is not comparable, not within vicinity of the initial hasoga. Let's understand what that means. The initial hasoga has real nefesh substantiation. A board in front of you as a table is a necessity, it's a human necessity. A table of legs under the board is not a human necessity. Does not draw upon this richness of a nefesh. So in comparison to the initial hasoga, it's hasoga ktana ain't a be'erech. It's totally not be'erech. It's not a proximity to the initial hasoga. I think everybody understands this, so I don't have to elaborate any further.
The Rebbe Rashab, he brings the example of two different scholars, though. I mean, the question must have come from Seichel.
What?
Similar, the Rebbe Rashab was talking about the case of two scholars.
Right.
So the question must have come from Seichel, not from sort of...
The question
someone
comes from the Seichel because
from the
he
real
sees
Seichel.
the whole reality different. And therefore his questioning, his assumption. Hare, thus we see, the Izhab was HaKelim, Mehois Yeshe Behoirois. But the fact that Kelim are created, come forth from the oisios that are contained in the oir, Ein Zeh B'Bchinas Kiruv. It is not in a manner of Kiruv. Kiruv means intended. The oil is present there. Let's understand this again in our muscle. I need the board standing. How are you going to make it stand? Whether it's 4 legs, 1 leg, 17 legs, it makes no difference to me. Yet, any design you come up is contained in the initial idea that I need of the board standing. But that which you are actually using is not bikiruv, is not stated by the fact that I need that the board has to stand. This is the bikiruv. The the kelim are not created b'chinas kiruv, with intent from the oil. Rather, that the kelim are fall from the oasis. They fall out from the oasis. It's entirely conceivable that the four legs under the table came about by trial and error. Although it is representative of the initial thought, but it doesn't come directly. And therefore, when you see the four legs, it's hard for you to correlate the four legs to the standing table. Four legs is some kind of a happenstance experience, which is not fully true. Because this happenstance experience was in order to support the initial idea of a standing table. This is an important dinya that we're going to say. This is not b'chinas kiruv, which means it is not representative of the source. From the perspective of the source, it could be any which way. Is that it for today? Yeah, okay. All right, Mitchum, tonight, hopefully we'll get together again and we'll maybe conclude this. Have a great day.